Hello everyone, this is Jamie. I guess we're doing this online again because of the wild weather we've been having. I'm going to give you information about the final exam. I will try to keep this quick. If there's something about this exam that doesn't make sense, you can email me. Also, I'll probably have an online class next week sometime to answer questions. But the most important thing is try to pay attention. I'm going to go quite quickly, but pay attention here, okay? So today I'm going to cover the materials for the final exam. This is some new information. The exam will be done on paper. Okay, so you're going to have to write on paper with a pen or a pencil, okay? This is a recommendation from the college that I'm going to follow, okay? I'm sorry about that. I did tell you it was going to be a possibility. So the exam will be done on paper, and the exam will be out of 30, meaning 30 is a perfect score. And also I have a bonus question to help you get a good score at the end, and I'll explain that right at the end, okay? To do with task 2 and the e-portfolio, you can email me directly with problems. It's due tomorrow, so please try to submit it on time. So, more important information, especially for sections 52 and 51 and 52, the girls' sections. Your rooms have changed, okay? We will be split into 2 rooms. Half of you will be in one room and half of you will be in another room. Boys, in section number 1, nothing has changed. Our exam will be at 11:30 on April the 29th in H10053. That's our normal classroom. But girls, because there's so many of you, we've decided to split you into 2 groups. The times remain the same, but if you can see here, section 51, Tuesday, 11:30, okay, you will be in C10011, or C20011 or C20013. These 2 rooms are right next to each other. So I'll be there going between each other rooms. There will be another professor with me as well who will help me to check things out and hand out the exams and make sure nothing too weird is going on, okay? Section number 2, your exam is on Monday, and your exam will be the same. You'll be split into 2 groups. Here it'll be C21013 and C21014. Again, those 2 classrooms are next to each other. So half of the girls will be in one class and half of the girls will be in the other class. Okay, we'll just split you up. As you arrive, I'll say, okay, go into this room, go into that room, go into this room, go into that room, and give it to you, okay? So, the exam, as I promised, just like the midterm exam, okay, it's very easy, okay? We will cover 3 topics. The topics are your own lesson, so the things that we've already talked about in your own lesson, gamification, and collaborative learning online, okay? So those are the 3 topics that will be in the exam, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to explain everything about the exam. The exam is easy. Pay attention to this video, okay? Download the PPT of this. I'll upload the PPT as well. Read through it, check it, make sure you understand everything. If you spend 2 or 3 hours reviewing and practicing, it will be quite easy, okay? So, first question, what are you going to bring to the exam? Remember, you need to bring a pen or a pencil to the exam, okay? That is necessary because it will be done on paper. Okay, so your exam has some basic structure. Don't freak out about this. I'm just explaining the basic structure of the exam, okay? There will be one question that asks about the use of technology from your lesson, okay? So this is the same as the question that's in your lesson plan that you've submitted for task 2. Remember the question, how did you use technology? It's the same question, okay? Then there's another question, why you did or didn't use AI in your lesson. Again, this is worth 6 points. Again, it's the same as what you've just recently answered for task 2, okay? Then there'll be one question which asks you to define something, which means like 2 sentences, right? And then there'll be 16 true or false and or multiple choice questions with 1 point each. So there'll be a technology question, 6 points, AI question, 6 points, 1 definition question, 2 points, 16 true false questions with 1 point. So 16 plus 2 is 18, plus 6 is 24, plus 6 is 30. That's 30, okay? And then there'll be one more bonus question worth 5 points at the end, okay? So this is the basic structure of the exam. Multiple choice, true, false questions, one definition question, and then 2 open-ended questions, okay? So, number 1, your exam will have this question, okay? It will have this question, okay? Talk about one use of education technology in your class, reflect on it, and write about whether it worked well or not. You know, this question's worth 6 points, okay? So it basically is asking you, what was one application of education technology used in your presentation or video that didn't go well, and how could you improve it? So you can say, oh, we tried this, it didn't work very, very well. That's okay. Or if you think everything went perfectly, you can also write, what is something you could add to your presentation to make it better? Or you can say, oh, we used something and it worked really, really well, okay? Basically, you don't have to choose all of those things. Just choose one thing and write about it, okay? You need to write 5 sentences or more. To get a maximum score, to get 6 points for this, you need to write at least 5 sentences, okay? So you choose a piece of technology, okay? And you write about using it, how did you use it, did it work well, did it not work well, what are some good things, what would you change? It's a very basic question. It's the same question you have started to answer already in your lesson plan that you submitted, but maybe you will expand it a little bit more for this, okay? Next, your essay will also contain this question. So this question here, 100%, every person in the video, who's listening to this video will have these 2 questions, okay? It will also ask you to describe how you used AI in your lesson and why you used it, okay? And if you didn't use AI, why you didn't use AI, what's the reason, okay? So again, it's the same question that you've already been asked in the lesson plan, okay? Some of you have already answered it, you already submitted it, okay? And you need to write at least 4 sentences to get a full score for this question, okay? So why did you use AI? How did you use AI? Or if you didn't, why didn't you use it? You know, and what were the reasons you didn't use it, okay? These first 2 questions, every single person listening to this video will have these 2 questions, okay? So prepare your answer. I suggest you sit down, I suggest you write out your answer. Next week when I do like an online question and answer about the final exam, maybe you guys can even show me your example. You can write your example and say, hey Jamie, is this good, and stuff like that, and I will check it and I'll give you feedback. I will not be grading grammar. I will not be grading grammar or spelling. As long as I can understand it, we are fine. So if I can understand what you have written, then there's no problem, okay? Also, your exam will contain one of these 3 questions. It will be either define a game, or define a learning theory, or define collaborative learning. You'll have only one of these questions, okay? Your answer must be 2 or more sentences. So you'll be asked, define a game, or define a learning theory, or define collaborative learning, okay? Here are the definitions on the next slide. You can pause these, you can try to memorize these. You can use your own definitions as well, as long as they're correct. So you don't have to use my definition. If you have your own definition of collaborative learning that you want to use, that's totally fine, okay? If you want to just memorize these definitions, that's also the really easy thing to do, okay? So there are 3 questions you'll have to answer that are open-ended, okay? One of them about technology, you'll have to write something down, okay? One of them about AI, you'll have to write something down, and then definition thing, you'll have to write something down. The other questions are all true, false, or multiple choice. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Okay, so moving into gamification. What are the 3 characteristics of a game? So now I'm just going to give you the information that's going to be in the multiple choice questions and true, false questions. What are the 3 characteristics of a game? There must be a goal, there must be rules, and there must be rules that restrict what people can do in order to provide a challenge. These are the characteristics of a game. So here are some example questions, okay? This is how easy this exam is. Here's some example questions. A game must have rules. A game doesn't need rules. A game requires a goal. A game doesn't require a goal. One of the characteristics of a game are restriction on players. So which ones of these are true and which ones of these are false? A game must have rules. Is that true or false? Yes, it's true, right? The game must have rules, okay? What about one of the main characteristics of a game are restrictions on players? Is that true or false? Yes, that's also true, okay? So in this PPT, I have provided some example questions for you to check yourself with, okay? Some of these questions are actually the same questions in the exam. Not all of them, it's not everything, okay? But you can use these questions to check your own knowledge and check your own understanding. What are some of the benefits to online gaming? Gaming is a common hobby. Recall is greatly enhanced. That means that people remember things better when they play games. And also, playing online games is highly motivating. Gaming is highly motivated, okay? So here we have some more example questions. There are no benefits to learning from online games. Is that true or false? Yeah, it's false, okay? Students have low recall from what happens in an online game. Have low recall? No, that's false. They have high recall, okay? Here's some more example questions for you to test yourself on. Next, what is gamification? Gamification is applying gaming concepts to non-gaming contexts, okay? It's turning something that's not a game into a game, okay? Gamification is not playing games in class, okay? So anytime a teacher has a game in class, it's not gamification, okay? If we just go into class and we say like, okay, cool, let's all play Tetris or something like that, that's not gamification. Gamification is when we take something that's not normally a game and we make it into a game. It's the process of applying gaming elements to non-gaming applications. What are some advantages of gamification of traditional learning environments? One is immediate feedback. It's also safer. It can induce behavioral change. And again, it's also motivating. Just games motivate us and make us interested. Here are some popular methods of applying gaming: challenges, points, stickers, badges, trophies, leaderboards. I suggest you memorize all these examples, okay? Here are some drawbacks of gaming. They can be highly complex for learners and instructors. They have high costs and long creation and development times. Okay. A teacher letting students rest at the end of a lesson by playing any computer game they want is an example of gamification. Is that true or false? No, that's false, right? That's not gamification, right? The teacher's just letting them play any game they like, okay? What about down the bottom? There are no advantages to gamification. That's also false, right? There are some advantages to gamification. What about this? Giving students points for completing a task is a common example of gamification. Yes, this is a common example of gamification, right? It's turning, a spelling test into a game. Here's, again, some more example questions for you to think about and try to answer, okay? Now moving on to collaborative learning and education technology. What is collaborative learning? Collaborative learning is an educational approach in which students study in groups to enhance their learning outcomes. They come together to perform tasks, work on projects, and understand new concepts. It's working together, it's group work, okay? Here are some examples. Again, I suggest you memorize these examples. Here are some practice questions, right? Which one of these is not collaborative learning? A, collaborative learning is an educational approach in which students study in groups to enhance their learning outcomes. B, they come together to perform tasks, work on projects, and understand new concepts. C, when a student uses Google Docs to write something interesting. Which one of these is not collaborative learning? Again, this is easy. The answer is C. There are some other questions here. I suggest you use them to check your own knowledge and figure out the answers to them. What are some advantages of collaborative learning? Some advantages are that learners of varying levels of skill and knowledge can work together. And lower level students can benefit from working together in groups because it allows them to participate above their skill level. But also higher level students also benefit from group work. So lower level students and higher level students benefit from group work. Also, learners benefit from hearing the viewpoints and perspectives of others. Here, what does CSCL stand for? Just memorize this, okay? It stands for Computer Supported Collaborative Learning, okay? Just memorize the answer, okay? What are some disadvantages to collaboration? There are two disadvantages, main disadvantages: unequal participation and cognitive transaction cost. Unequal participation is when people in a group don't all do the same amount of work. So let's say there's Jamie, John, and Bill, and they're all in the group together, but Jamie and John are lazy and Bill does all the work. This is unequal participation, okay? Unequal participation is not good. It increases the work necessary to complete the task, okay? And also this is frustrating, like if you've ever been in a group, maybe some of you are in the groups now, where one person's doing all the work, this can be very frustrating for you, like because other people are not helping, okay? Also, if students don't participate much, they lose the opportunity to engage with others and construct knowledge. So unequal participation.
One is cognitive transaction cost. This sounds kind of fancy, but think of this as the mental energy you need to collaborate, right? So it's cognitive transaction cost, like the money cost, the transaction cost, right? When you're collaborating, it's really great because, you get these different ideas, people can help you and stuff like that. But also when you collaborate, you have to use your brain, you have to use your time, and you have to use your energy, right? The second pitfall of collaborative learning is the possibility of high transaction cost. This is the mental effort and time for learners to share their information with one another, right? So imagine when you get put in a group with people you don't know, especially if you don't know them, right? There's some energy and time you use to get to know them. You feel uncomfortable, maybe. All of this kind of stuff, it stops you from being able to learn as much, right? Because you're using your mental energy not for study, you're using your mental energy for the group work. You're using mental energy just to be able to collaborate, to be able to communicate. Simply, sometimes thinking about, what you have to, how you communicate or what you have to do for you to communicate makes it harder to learn. And also collaboration that can distract from your learning, right? You're busy, you're like I said, like especially people who don't feel very confident, they can sometimes, have a lot of anxiety or stress about collaborating together. And we call this feeling or this cost cognitive transaction.
Is bad. Okay, so here are some more questions. What does CSCL stand for? Do you guys remember? Stands for Computer Supported Collaborative Learning. Okay. What is synchronous and asynchronous learning? Okay, what is synchronous and asynchronous learning? Okay, synchronous and asynchronous. Synchronous means something that happens at the same time. Asynchronous is something that doesn't happen at the same time. Okay, so in synchronous learning would be like a Zoom lesson. We're all online at the same time. Asynchronous learning is like this, okay? Jamie makes a video, maybe Nora watches it at 10 o'clock, Sheha watches it at 10:30, right? We're not all studying at the same time. This is the synchronous versus asynchronous, okay? Here are some key elements with advantages and disadvantages of synchronous versus asynchronous learning. Synchronous is better for social interaction, but asynchronous is better for facilitation and thinking. Okay. Group formation, when we're thinking about collaborative learning, diversity can create tension that can either support or inhibit the collaborative process. And if we're going to have online learning, the best size of a team is 3, 4, or 5 students. Okay. Here are some example questions. Okay. And then you can practice on these and go back and check your knowledge. And then finally, here is the bonus question in the exam. The bonus question is, and remember, you've already done this actually. When we did the lesson on collaborative learning, you've already answered this question. Please write 5 sentences about an online collaborative experience you had. Please use the word asynchronous and or synchronous. You don't have to use both, okay? So you need to write 5 sentences about some kind of collaborative learning you did, and use the word synchronous or asynchronous. Okay, so this is a quick cover of everything that's in the exam. One thing really important to notice, I didn't mention here, or there's no slide about cognitive transaction cost. I will add the slide to this PPT when I upload it. Cognitive transaction cost is a bad thing about collaborative learning. Okay, and I think there's a couple of questions about it. So cognitive transaction cost is the mental effort that students need to collaborate together. So just remember that, okay? If you have any questions that you think you can email me, or you can wait until next week and we will have like a little online discussion about this final exam, okay? I'm sorry for the weather. I wish I could see you guys all face to face, but I guess it is what it is. Good luck and have a great weekend. Bye.